but I've really been doing it even. Are you videotaping this? I've really been doing it even more ever since we've been having these professional developments. But I have a word graveyard in my room, and we find words to replace good, bad, happy, and sad, because those are 4 words that frequently come up in a second grader's vocabulary. And whenever we find one, we write it on a sticky note, and then whoever realized that that was a word to replace good, bad, happy, or sad gets the privilege to go put it on the word graveyard. And we talk about it throughout the day, and we interact with it, and then that is expected. Those words are expected to show up in their writing. So they are not allowed to use good, bad, happy, or sad. They have to use a synonym for this.
When we have a word that we want them to remember and use and get to know, we have them write the word on, we have quick write little books on rings, and they write the word on the front, the definition on the back, and they keep these little books in there. They can keep them in their baskets or somewhere else where they can get to them to be able to look for those words if they need them, and they review them like in their reading baskets when they're reading their books and stuff like that. And we found that those are easy for us to get them to be able to look back over them.
Talking about your rings, that's what we were doing. We put the pictures on the front, and then they have to tell us what the picture is, and then the definitions and stuff. So we did like the weather, and we did simple machines, and we've been covering all that in science and after school tutoring with our kids, just to kind of keep knowing the vocabulary.
I just started using it a little bit here and there. The part I like about using these models is you find a lot of misunderstandings, and like the example and non-example, I've had kids argue with me about putting an example on the non-example side and vice versa, so you find misunderstandings. But I wanted to show y'all this word because when I do it, I just tell the kids the word, and then we start a discussion. I say, what do you think it means? And they tell me what they think it means. And the whole class on this word, the whole class said, it means it's something you don't need. The whole class told me this. And I was like, why are y'all telling me this? And I was really puzzled, and I wanted to say, no, you're wrong, but I kept listening. And they were like, and they were like, but it means, you know how teachers say, like if she were tapping her pencil or something, the teacher would say, is that really necessary? That's the example they gave me. They were like, you don't need it. I'm like, no, it's the opposite. So when you bring up words, see what they think it means first, because we've had a couple of those. There was another one, I can't remember, but and the kids, I just stick with the plain old simple, but we started doing different, let me see if I can get it.
So they just did this. They went to about.com where the images are safe, and they had to tell which part of speech it is, a definition, and then some facts. And then so they all had to present this too, and they really liked presenting it, and they couldn't present until I had checked their word, and then once I had checked their word, they saved it in the folder on the network. So then they presented to the class, and they really liked doing that. And then I asked them what else could they do with this vocabulary now that they had access to all this vocabulary on the network. So I had given them index cards for Christmas, so and they came up with this idea. They're making matching games, so with the definition and the new vocabulary, and so they just get them out whenever they have spare time and do the matching. One of them actually made an assessment with all the words and mixed up, so she just sat at her laptop, and went through all of these with the definitions and mixed them all up. Plus, they can just, to review the vocabulary, they can just go into this folder on the network and just look at everybody's that they created. And
it actually is on figurative language. And what we did was we put the definition in there, a kid-friendly definition, a 5th grade definition, but then we also put examples. So they had an example of onomatopoeia, or they had an example of alliteration, or they had an example of a word with that specific prefix on it. And these they keep in their book boxes. And Catherine McBride and I were talking the other day how we see the kids go back to these, especially the prefix and the suffix, because we did those back in the fall. This one we just put together about 2 weeks ago. But they refer back to these, and we just make a quick foldable, and they love to make them because they make their own little books in there.
We are our third day into the Word of the Week, and this week it is summarize. Summarize. That means to give a shorter version, and the student-friendly phrase is very similar to give me a short version. So you're taking something that's longer, like a book, for instance, and you're going to summarize the book, or you're going to summarize a chapter in the book. Summarize. We've spent a lot of time this year already talking about summarizing. So that is our word of the week for today and tomorrow before we leave for the break.
This year we have been learning about words called powerful words. Every week we have a new word, and this week's word is support, to back up with details. And we go to our teachers, and if we can tell them the word, the definition, and the sentence, we can get a tiger ticket.
We have Addison as mirthful, which means happy. Next, we have Morgan with glum, which means sad. Next, we have Abigail, Sanaa, and Will with joyful, which is another word for happy. Next, we have Tess with polychromatic, which means having many colors. Historic. Drew is historic. He is famous or important in history. Photogenic. Kayshawn is suitable for being photographed. Photogenic. Bodyguard. This is Brandon. He's a bodyguard. He is a person whose duty is to protect a person.